to the Waffle House.
Hey, you never know. This motherfucker might want to lose. You know what I'm saying?
He might. Like, what's your favorite flavored waffles? Like blueberry, chocolate chip?
And a chocolate chip with some syrup. You guys missed me, didn't you, last week?
The Mac Attack is back.
Saw me cooking eggs. She thought I was Mac Daddy. I know it's back at it, but that's where that name came from. Shout out. Well, hey, I'm back on. Sorry about last week. Just getting back in the flow of work, and so I needed a break for a week. Had too much going on, especially at Nikki's birthday. She turned 30, so shout out. So yeah, week 8 is in the books, or is it week 9?
So that was week 8
that I missed.
Yes.
So now so we just did week 9. That was the last Sunday's games, right?
Yeah. Week 8 was last Sunday, so now we're coming on to week 9.
Oh, I was right. Okay, yeah. So week 8 is in the books. For me, Chiefs look great. Missouri got their ass kicked. Tech, you guys.
Hey, trust the process. Trust the process.
I'm with you. Hey, you guys are looking a lot better, man. But anyway, yeah, I think that it was kind of a lower scoring week in the sense of even when on my playing daily fantasy, playing DraftKings, it was just a lot of low scoring, right?
Yeah, you had a couple players that popped off, but as far as like trying to construct a team, there was a lot of low scores.
A lot of low scores across the NFL. I think that's due to the weather. I think on Sunday the lineups dropped because of how windy a lot of the games were. And so I think the weather really impacted, a lot of the scoring. But anyways, so as you all know, it's election night. I'm sure everyone's sitting in front of the TV right now at this moment watching the elections, and I just want to say a couple things. Number one, I am neither Republican nor Democrat. I'm independent. I want that established. Number two, no matter the outcome of this election, we're going to add something to our podcast that's just going to uplift everyone's spirits. And that's going to be about 10 to 30 seconds of Tim Allen grunting from Home Improvement. Thank you. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel better.
I definitely feel better after that.
So anything you want to add, Kyle, before we get into this week's recap?
First off, when you were on the podcast 2 weeks ago, you were missed last week, but when you were on the podcast 2 weeks ago, you had like a doom and gloom about you, but now you're sitting here, hair slicked back, glass of wine. The victory made you pull out the victory wine.
Feel
like you're feeling good right now.
Yeah. Listen, Drake got hurt. Okay, I'm happy. When he went down, I literally jumped off my couch and screamed in the air.
That is a spark your team needed.
I was lit. I was like, fuck yes. And then Chase Edmonds went off, but he was on the bench. So anyway, yeah, I'm feeling better. I did beat Joey, so it's really not, I gotta beat one of you better guys. But yeah, we're looking up here. So
yeah. Before we get into the week 8 recap, just shout out to Brandon for filling in last week.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon.
So with that, we'll get into our week 8 recap. First game, yes. Kevin. So this was actually the rematch of last year's championship.
Kevin was in the championship last year?
Yeah, he was in the championship last year. So I took down Kevin 139-75. I mean, this game
Okay.
really wasn't close. I mean,
That's a butt fucking.
yeah, but to give Kevin credit, because I'm not going to sit here and brag about this win when he was missing DeAndre Hopkins, missing Deshaun Watson, and then he had a couple injuries, like Kittle got hurt, so.
Hey, but that's part of, well, Kittle did get hurt. You can't blame him for that. But, I mean, scroll down, Justin Jackson.
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
when Justin Jackson's your highest scoring player, like, you're not going to win.
And DeAndre Swift had 5 points, which is disappointing. You know, Kevin's players just didn't perform. It's that simple. I mean, and really off his bench too, he really just had a shitty fantasy week.
Yeah.
I called Denver beating the Chargers, by the way.
Yeah, I feel like Kevin's week was, okay, I got 2 superstars on a bye, so let me just try to piece something together. Maybe I get lucky, come away with the win, but.
Who'd you have on a bye?
Well, he had DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, because he needed to be more active. Yeah, well, I mean, you really only had DK who went the fuck off, and I called that too. I played him in fantasy. I said, you know, last week it's almost like they got to force feed the guy after that immaculate play he had.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
he deserved that after that.
yeah, and Kelsey had a good game. Kind of surprised Kelsey. I didn't really call for him. But we'll get into the Chiefs game later. So yeah, good win, Kyle. Nothing really to go over here.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to point out though, that I'm a little disappointed in my team, and I'm gonna press the pause button on my prospects going forward. My running backs, I have like
they're pretty shitty.
I have like 4 RB4s, and it's not a good feeling.
No, Ezekiel Elliott's playing like he's not playing.
Yeah.
God, the Cowboys are just abysmal. I mean, they're. I don't know where to begin with those guys, man.
Yeah, so that's
Anyway.
that game.
Yeah, not
We'll move
really.
on.
Yeah, this is a little bit closer. So we had Don playing Charlie.
Yep.
I'm happy to see me and Charlie sharing the same record now. It's about more accurate as to where his level of fantasy should be. Don won 120-100. Russell had 28. I mean, the man's a machine. Jonathan Taylor, only 4 points. I'm really upset about this. I played him on DraftKings. Really good spot. You would think that them winning that much, fuck, man. They just didn't give the ball to Jonathan. So I feel Don there. James White, you gotta get rid of that guy. Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, which is so funny. Every year, I usually have Mike Evans and or Keenan Allen on my team. Every year. This is the first year I haven't had either one of those players. So, these are one of the weeks where Don got to see solid production out of those 2 receivers. And Corey Davis, 26. So, I mean, we all know, and he's got Aaron Jones and Michael Thomas out. And he has Antonio Brown. He might be scary. I mean, Don's definitely, it was a good win for him. Good win for him.
So, going through these teams, let's start a new trend. Let's when we break down these games, contender, pretender.
Nice.
Yep. That. So, going back to me and Kevin's game, you can just say we're both contenders, just based on our record.
Yeah.
So, going into this one, I'm gonna call Don's right here a contender.
Yeah, and Charlie's, is there a place for just being shitty?
There's like an in-between, like, you know what I'm talking about? It's purgatory. Like, he's in fantasy purgatory. He's in between, like, his team's not good enough to be like a Joey level, but it's not good enough to be like a contender, so he's in purgatory. Yeah.
So he's a shitty.
So you're sitting in purgatory waiting to go to hell, though. You're not like sitting in purgatory waiting to go to heaven.
No.
If you believe in purgatory, which.
Yeah. You may or may not.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck Charlie, moving on.
Yeah, nothing to really talk about on Charlie's team besides Tyreek Hill.
Called that. Anyway, so let's move into this W. Low scoring game. But I made some key moves here. Really one starting Mecole. That was smart on my part. Again, call me the Chiefs wizard. I knew Mecole was going to have a big game. I felt that he was just going to have, a really good, solid, a lot of targets. I had to play Rex Burkhead. I had to. What did Adrian Peterson end up with? Can you scroll down, Kyle?
1.
Yeah, for what I had on my team, that's all I could play. So Robert Woods and Mecole saved me. Joe, he kind of helped me out there. CEH, I thought Le'Veon Bell was going to have a huge game. And they did. They force-fed Le'Veon. And that first half of the game, I watched, obviously. The first half of the game, it was a close game because we kept trying to feed Le'Veon. And so finally in the second half, you see CEH get some more touches. We open the offense up. And then on Joey's side, Derrick Henry, 17.
That's average for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and then Jamal Williams had 17. But, you had Garoppolo getting fucked. God, Joey did get hoed, man.
Yeah, Garoppolo got hurt.
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar gave him 0. Bears defense, 0. Like, when you have scores of 1, 5, 0, 0, 7 on your team, you're not going to win.
I think Joey collectively has one of the worst fantasy teams I've ever seen. In a 12-man league.
Yeah, the auto draft team. So we'll go into
Pretender.
Joey, Pretender, like, get out of here, go to the consolation bracket. That's where you belong.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers Abortion Clinic, your team. I'm not going to say contender just yet.
I can't say contender just yet.
I'll put it this way. Not a contender for the title right now, but a contender for a playoff spot.
Low playoff spot, yeah. And at this point, the way my season's going, I don't care to win. I just don't want to fucking sit in a Waffle House for 24 hours.
But get into the playoffs and you never know what can happen.
That's true. So now we move on to Brandon. He beat Thomas. This is game of the week, obviously. I wasn't on the podcast last week, but this kind of disappointing.
Yeah, you weren't on the podcast, and we had the top 2 teams in each division going against the other top 2 teams in the division. And I'm so glad that Brandon pulled off the win here because it gives me a game up on Thomas now.
That helps you. Hey, look, Dalvin Cook. From a gambling standpoint, he just broke the fantasy. If you didn't have Dalvin in your lineup, you're fucked.
Yeah, is there any way that Zeke can transfer his Feed Me tattoo to Dalvin Cook?
No. Well, I don't know.
Because, they've been feeding Dalvin Cook, and he's produced.
48 points. The guy had 4 I don't even know where to begin. And then he had Devontae Adams, and that's it. So, and Herbert. So, Brandon's team really has really only – I hate to – he's got a really good team, but – it's just the same players over and over again. I think the biggest surprise on Brandon's team that's doing the best is the Colts defense. They had 15 last week.
Yeah, they were on the bench, but yeah, the Colts defense is solid. I believe they are the number 1 defense in fantasy, and they are, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, but we'll see if they can continue that trend or if they've had an easy schedule so far.
Brandon's team stacked. He's got a good team. He's just having the problem of now knowing who to play and when, and that can get difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a good problem to have, but it's also like you can sort of mind F yourself out of starting certain players.
Thomas's team, Thomas has been producing all year. Why did he pick up Carson Wentz?
He picked up Carson Wentz because Murray was on a bye.
It doesn't matter. I drafted him and dropped him. Why play Carson? He's not.
The logic here, I guess, is he's playing Dallas's defense, so he should do good. He was projected 20, but ended up with 7, so that's terrible. DJ Moore 7, Jonnu 4.
Listen, Thomas, I'm worried about you, man. Why'd you pick up Wentz? No, I'm serious. Like, I know he's going against Dallas and they won, but Carson's done. He might have a game over 15. because he's been projected 20, 25 all year, and he's underproduced hard. So kind of questionable there. You deserve to lose, bitch. Moving on.
Yeah, so both contenders out of that game.
Yeah, that's like
Okay. Moving on to the next game, we had.
Hey, I want to clarify what Charlie is.
Okay.
It's contender pretender bitch made.
All right.
Shout out to Mama.
We'll go with that.
He ain't nothing but a bitch made. Anyway, yeah. So we had Orangutan Titties play Worley. Why don't you break this one down, Kyle?
Yeah, so Orangutan Titties lost 88-104 to Worley. I actually called this game. It was my hot take last week. I said Kyle Worley is going to get off the 1 win and go to 2-6 and beat Micah. That prediction came true. I mean, Orangutan Titties had the Undertaker's backup, gave him 22, had Brady 19, and Ayuk 23. I mean, after that though, he didn't have anybody. I mean,
well, he had a 0, and also, I mean, he had some tough plays. I mean, he had a lot of people. I mean, let's see, Chark was on bye, Cooks was on bye.
Yeah, and his top 2 running backs are hurt, so.
Yeah, I can't blame him. That's just kind of shitty. Well, Worley finally Worley's pick for Mahomes comes in handy.
Yeah, Mahomes frickin' opened up, looked good.
5 touchdowns.
I mean, I wouldn't say anybody else on Worley's team popped off. They were just so. But 36 from Mahomes, I mean.
That one you had your one win, or your second win. One of your 2 wins is because of Mahomes. So. Anyway, moving on. Nothing really.
Yeah, so contender, pretender, you want to sound off on these two?
Pretender.
Both pretenders, I agree.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. So this is one of the closer games of the week, if not the closest. Biko losing to Taylor 96-105.
Yeah, and hey, look, Taylor, I don't blame you for playing Le'Veon. That's a great play. I mean, I went to the bar and watched the game. They force-fed Le'Veon the first half. I mean, the guy was getting the ball when he never should have. So I don't blame you there. Julio Jones had 20. That's good. Eagles defense. That's crazy, right? So is this the first game of the year where we had a defense win the game for a fantasy player?
I mean, yeah, the Eagles played Sunday night, so, I mean, he still had Scotty Miller, but, I mean, that was pretty much irrelevant after the Eagles put up 21.
And the Miami put up 18. The fact that Biko played the Dolphins against the Rams.
That's like
and he got it right.
That was a big balls play. I mean, it didn't pay off in the end, but.
Big old dead swing, you know.
But I mean, just looking at Biko's team, I know he's probably disappointed with this loss, but he does get Christian McCaffrey back. I mean, he gets James Robinson off his bye, so.
Yeah, I mean, now you can take out I mean, you got McCaffrey, and this dude, you know, you'll be able to say anything. We know what's going to happen. The man's going to produce. So, I mean, I got Biko as a contender, and I got Taylor as a contender right now. I just don't think they're either pretenders. I think Biko's having a little bit of a rough streak. You know, I mean, Tyler Lockett, I would hate to own him this year. I mean, he gives you fucking 50,000 points, 52 points last week, and then 7 this week. So I think that, you know, you got to be careful with him. You got to know when to play him and rotate him out.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at these two teams, like, part of me wants to say they're both contenders, but then it's just like the little things that are holding these teams back. Maybe not, I wouldn't say pretenders, maybe they're like in between, not in Charlie's purgatory stage, but
you mean
I don't know.
me.
I don't know. I think the jury's still out, maybe is the best way to describe it on these two teams.
I don't. I think they're both contenders. I think that, I mean, I need Taylor to lose some more games, right? Because he's he's in that third spot where I need to be. So, I don't know. I mean, they both have teams that could produce. So, Anyway, all in all, not really just your typical fantasy week. Nothing too crazy or wild besides Eagles defense.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, nobody had the 180-point game. I mean, the highest was 139. That was me.
Do you want to say your top score Victor bullshit?
Yes, I do want to say it. I will take this time out.
Okay.
So, the former champ.
Can you make it like a minute?
No, this is going to be 10 minutes. The former champ, week 1.
Wake me up when it's over.
Week 1, I was the high scorer. And then we had a couple down weeks. And then now this week, week 8, I came back as the high scorer. I'm feeling melancholy about my running back situation. But when you got the man DK, I mean, he covers mistakes. So I just want to take this moment to just have a moment of silence for the man, the myth, the legend, DK Metcalf. That was not silence.
Okay.
Unless that was you gnawing on DK's dick.
Yeah, well, it'd be more like. Can I even say no homo to that? Anyway, so moving on to the standings, we've got Kyle now at 7-1, best record.
Okay.
In the North Division, again, Taylor and Thomas are top 3. I'm 4th now, working my way up. Don't know how long it's going to stay. South Division, Brandon is number 1. He's kind of taken off in that division. Kevin's behind him at 5-3. Don's at 4-4. So,
yeah, I mean, still a lot of season left. So, and
there is.
Yeah, each spot separated by less than 2 games. So, I mean, a lot can change here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely interesting as the season's going to go on. So now you got your points for. So you've got Brandon and Kyle and Thomas in the thousands. That's your top 3. That's really about it.
Bottom 3, I mean, you got the usual suspects: Joey, Kyle Worley, Charlie.
Yeah, not a good recipe for winning there.
Yeah.
Points against. I'm still second. But now Micah is at 1,010. I'm at 985.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you look at the points against, like the lowest points against, Thomas, me, Brandon. So, while our team...
but it's just kind of situations to where... I will say this. There has been more skill involved with the waiver wire and having to spend money. I mean, that's been fun. No one can deny that. So, Kyle, for our next segment, I'm going to let you take over with this cool little graph you have here to explain it.
Yeah, so last week when Brandon was on, I mentioned that we would be bringing back the like playoff predictor machine where I plug in different scenarios and it tells you, well, there's another schedule comparison predictor model, and right now it'll tell you what your record would have been if you would have played everybody else's schedule. So, like if your team was playing somebody else's schedule, what your record would have been. And I mentioned this to Malcolm off air, but if he would have played my schedule so far this year, he would be 6-2 instead of 3-5.
Yeah, if I had Brandon's schedule, I would have been 6-2 instead of 3-5.
Yeah, and then some other interesting ones like Charlie, if he played my schedule, would have been 8-0.
Holy shit! I didn't even see that.
Yeah. So I mean, this sort of there is.
This is kind of like a bullshit. Like, is there really skill involved now? I mean, look at this.
Yeah, that's
Charlie literally. We degraded his team to bitch mate, and he would be undefeated if he had your schedule.
Yeah, so that's the point I'm trying to make here is there is some skill involved, but I mean, this right here is just proof that some of fantasy is just luck.
I would say more than half.
Yeah, I mean, It could be argued, but I see your point now looking at this.
I mean, looking at this, like,
Thomas, if he had Kyle Worley's schedule, would be 3-5.
yeah, well, I was looking at Joey's schedule, and Joey would be 6-2 if he had your schedule. He'd be 6-2 if you have Brandon's schedule. And that's an auto draft team. So, like, this is kind of opening my mind up to how do we make it more skill based?
Well, I mean, I think it is skill based. I mean, you draft your own players unless you're Joey and you auto draft.
I understand, but where's Worley's team? Okay. Kyle would be 6-2 if he had your schedule. He'd be 6-2 if he had Thomas's schedule. He'd be 6-2 if he had Brandon's schedule.
Yes.
I wonder if there's just a trend. Wow, you can tell I'm back at work. I'm like thinking of like trends and graphs and shit. Like I wonder if every year in fantasy this is the same trend. There's like 2 or 3 people that have the easiest schedules all year. I guess that happens in the NFL too.
Yeah, I mean it does. And then, I mean, to sort of combat that point, there's a weekly record versus all teams graph, and it sort of reflects the rankings that we have right now in the league. So that would lean more towards the skill.
What do you mean?
So weekly record versus every team in the league. So you're going up against 11 people. Like the first week, Brandon was 9-2. Second week, 9-2. Third week, 9-2.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so.
Damn, week 2, I would have lost to everybody.
So, I mean,
but then week 6, I would have went undefeated.
Yeah, so I mean, this sort of brings back the skill point into it.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Where
there's.
the fuck did you find this?
Dude, I don't know where I found it. It's the Fantasy Football Hub. It has a bunch of cool stuff. I'll share the link to everybody in the league.
I think there'd be a lot of people who would like to utilize this.
Yeah, and then it also has a playoff odds graphic. I don't know if I'll put that in the YouTube video, but it shows everybody's odds to make the playoff or to not make the playoff.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, fantasy football's fun. Well, I take that back. It's like golf. It can be fun or it cannot be fun.
I mean, you have good days and then you have bad days, but you have that one player or you have that one golf shot that keeps you coming back. So, I mean,
yeah. Let's go into next week to see what we're looking at here.
Okay.
Ooh.
So next week we have my team versus Biko's team. And while this might seem lopsided, 7-1 versus 3-5, I really think Biko has a shot here. He gets McCaffrey back. He's got Lockett. He's got Allen.
Well, I think McCaffrey definitely helps him. Josh Allen's kind of fallen off the last couple weeks, so I think he's getting a little frustrated. We'll see. Then we got Charlie and Kevin.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like Kevin's got that one. I don't know.
Game of the week, me and Don. Hands down.
I mean, there's a lot riding on this game. 3-5 versus 4-4, so y'all could basically like switch spots.
I mean, this is huge. I mean, I'm getting Edmonds back, but Don's also getting Michael Thomas back.
Yeah, I mean,
shit! I don't fucking want to. Damn it. Yeah, well, we'll see.
It's going to be a close game.
It is. Then you got Thomas and Joey. That should be a butt-ass raping.
Yeah, Thomas getting Kyler Murray back. He could probably bench everybody but Kyler Murray and still win.
Coming off the loss, Thomas is going to destroy.
Yeah, his team's motivated.
Brandon.
Same scenario, right?
What?
6-2 versus 2-6.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Brandon's, I mean, yeah, he's got Adams, and I don't see Rodgers not throwing to him 80,000 times a game.
Yeah, especially with their running backs hurt and COVID up. Yeah.
Then you got Taylor and Micah. Whatever.
Yeah, so they could sort of flip spots, but like I said last week's podcast, until Micah's running backs come back, he's just on a downward spiral right now to to the Waffle House.
Hey, you never know. This motherfucker might want to lose. You know what I'm saying?
He might. Like, what's your favorite flavored waffles? Like blueberry, chocolate chip?
Yeah, chocolate chip with some syrup, it'd be hitting though.
Yeah, that's the schedule for week 9. So
Yeah,
there's some interesting matchups. I feel like there's going to be a couple upsets.
I would agree.
All right, so let's move into the power rankings after week 8.
It's your turn. Yes, Kyle.
So the last 3, we got Joey sitting at number 12. Micah comes in at 11. Kyle Worley comes in at 10. And Kyle Worley's record's better than Micah's, so y'all might be saying, what's up there? Well, Kyle Worley beat Micah last week, so.
Yeah, so he has to move up.
Yeah, then sitting at number 9, we got Charlie. Number 8, we got Biko. And then number 7, we got your team. I mean,
hey, is that the first time in the top 9?
Maybe early in the year you might have cracked the top 9, but
I mean, how about the crack the top 6?
You film it, boy, you film it. Alright, so moving on. We got Taylor sitting at number 6, Don at number 5, and after Kevin's loss to me, he's sitting at number 4. And then the former number 1, Thomas, he got knocked off by Brandon. He's at number 3. I move up a couple spots, sitting at number 2. And then for the first time this year, Brandon takes over the number 1 spot. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's the power rankings.
Nice. So last week before last, I wished death upon everybody.
You did?
And I'm gonna do it again.
Oh God.
Buckle in. So I'm watching TV, and as red as these Republican red states are, that's how much blood I want to see on the football field for your fantasy players. I wish that everyone's main quarterback has a Dak Prescott moment.
Oh God.
Joe Theismann moment. I mean, I hope all your running backs have a Willis McGahee moment. Shout out.
Or should we say, you hope everybody's running back has a Marcus Lattimore moment?
Well, I mean, that's even better. So, yeah, I just wish death and injuries upon everyone's players this week, except for mine. So.
Yeah, so we got doom and gloom, Malcolm back.
Yeah,
even after a week off.
Yeah, I just, I won, and so I just definitely want to keep this hatred for everyone's team to keep going. Is there anything else you want to add, Kyle?
I mean, no. I mean, we'll find out more in the weeks to come.
Yes, we will. Awesome. All right, well, we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
See ya.
See ya.